Hey, this is Scott Steiner, Big Papa Pump, the Big Bad Booty Daddy, and you listen to ICOPOD, the best podcast going today. Holler if you hear me.
And we're back with episode 92 of ICOPOD. I'm Bob Conning Jr. With me, as always, is Austin Skinner. Austin, how you doing this week?
Episode 92. In fact, fun fact for you folks that are keeping score at home, 92 is the current age of Bob Backlund in 1994.
It's remarkable. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I feel like we're going to have two different opinions on good old Mr. Bob Backlund.
I think I'm going to shock
role on this episode.
I think I'm going to shock this shit out of you.
Oh, okay.
So
then maybe not. Maybe we have the same opinion on it.
Maybe.
I don't know. Last week we kind of had a long-winded banter, I guess you could say. So to kind of go against that, this week we're not going to have a lot of banter. We're just going to get right into the show. How does that sound for you, Austin?
Again, I might shock the shit out of you because I got some shit to talk about.
Then never mind, folks. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Going into it. Well, you know what? Let's wait. Let's get into Raw. Do we have house show notes?
Yes, we do. We have a couple of observer notes and then two house show notes.
All right, let's get into that stuff. Once we start going into Raw, it's gonna kick things off real early. So we'll do program as usual.
Okay, so then I was right. Two things of observer notes this week. Johnny Polo, you'll remember him. He was a manager once of the Quebecers in Adam Bomb. He quit the promotion. He was working backstage as a producer, doing some segments. And the belief is that he'll go back to the independent scene using the name Scotty the Body.
Quit the promotion?
Yeah. Now, my understanding here is that Johnny Polo, who is, of course, Scott Levy, or better known as Raven, was not interested in being a backstage type of guy. His understanding was that they were kind of setting him up to be maybe a lead producer, and he wanted to make it as a wrestler.
Right.
So he figured, I got to get out of here, make my name as a wrestler, and then maybe come back. And of course, to some extent, that ended up working out for him. Maybe not to the high degree that he would have wanted it to, but at this point in time, he decided to quit the company. He was really good friends with Shane McMahon too, by the way.
Could you imagine if Scotty stayed backstage and was like never Raven? How drastically different? Well, especially ECW.
I was just going to say ECW, he was the main guy there for 3 years.
He was a focal point of that company.
Yeah.
He helped bring it out of the fucking bingo halls.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's really weird. I always knew that like he had some kind of like temporary backstage deal. I didn't know that it was like it might have turned into like a lead producer role. That blows my mind. Yeah. I do think he's super creative though, so I guess I'm not shocked. But fuck, man, quits the promotion. I always thought he was let go.
No, I believe that. Again, this is coming from Johnny Polo himself in various shoot interviews, that when he quit, that Vince McMahon kind of took it personally because Vince McMahon saw so much in him that eventually when Raven returned in 2000, he was told that, when Jim Ross mentioned that they rehired Raven, or, Vince McMahon saw him, Vince McMahon's reaction was, who the fuck rehired Raven? And then Raven knew that as soon as that happened, that he was pretty much dead in the water and that he wasn't going to maybe get a big push similar to what he could have gotten in WCW at the time when Vince Russo was booking. And Vince Russo has always been a big Raven fan and stuff like that. So he could have been mega huge for WCW at the time, but he was obsessed with being big in New York or WWF. And maybe career-wise, it wasn't the best decision to do that at that time.
Yeah, some bad blood there. Interesting. Okay, so that gives us a little context there. I guess I'm kind of blown away that he quit WWF. Like, that takes some balls.
Well, yeah, I think too, being a backstage guy, you probably have benefits. You probably have a 401k.
Yeah, it's like a guaranteed job, man.
Yeah, and he's just like, you know what? I'm gonna dip out and go to the independents. And
you got to think too, long term. You can be a producer for a long time. Wrestlers got a shelf life, dude.
Yeah, well, he's what he tested as being like genius, so maybe he knew what he was doing.
I guess so. That's crazy though. That's very interesting to me.
Yeah. Last week's edition of Raw, which was the first one in about 2 weeks, got a 2.8 rating. Now, of course, the main match for that was Undertaker against Quang. Pretty much a weak overall card and show for that matter. So a 2.8 might be seen successful considering it hadn't been around for a couple weeks and the lack of true entertainment on it.
Yeah.
Let's go into some house show notes. We have one from the WWF. And you know what? I figured why not maybe get some USWA in here on a more regular basis. So first, the WWF, we're in Birmingham, England on September 17th, 1994. And it's a sellout. I don't know the attendance figures. It's not provided. But here's the card for this one. IRS taking on 123 Kid. WWF Women's Champion Alundra Blaze defending against Bull Nakano. Mabel battling Bam Bam Bigelow. WWF Tag Team Champions Shawn Michaels and Diesel taking on Lex Luger and WWF Intercom Champion Razor Ramon. Jeff Jarrett in singles action against Doink. The Undertaker squaring off against Yokozuna in a casket match. And the main event saw WWF World Champion Bret Hart teaming up with Davey Boy Smith against Owen Hart and Jim Neidhart.
Oh, man. I'm telling you what, man, these house shows the last week or so, it's like I'm there and then I'm not. And then, maybe, and then I'm not. Like, no, it's like, fuck, man. Do I go to this or not? I'm going to go, but I'm getting nosebleeds.
Yeah, I think that's a show I could probably go to as well, but not necessarily get the greatest of seats. I do want to point out, though, that apparently Mabel against Bam Bam Bigelow went 17 minutes.
Oh, Jesus Christ. No, take my ticket back. Dude, refund, please. I don't want this seat.
No, you already purchased it, and it's not refundable, so
fuck.
You have to go.
Fuck.
The USWA show took place on September 19th, 1994. Of course, that's the same day as Raw, just to give you guys a bit of context here. This show drew 1,200 fans, which was a gate of $6,800. And the card featured the following matches. Doug Basham taking on Tony Williams. Spellbinder taking on Jeff Gaylord. USWA Tag Team Champions PG-13 defending against the Phantoms. Moondogs, Spot and Rex taking on Tommy Rich and Buddy Landel in a Losers Never Team Again match. Sid Vicious teaming with the Spellbinder to take on the Eliminators. The USWA Unified World Champion, Sid Vicious, defending against Jerry Lawler. And the main event is Brian Christopher taking on Doug Gilbert in a hair versus hair match.
I'm going to say no. I'm going to say no because I went last week. I got what I wanted, probably. And there's really not enough variance for me to go to this show again.
Okay.
So I'm going to say no.
You know, I kind of agree with you. It feels a little repetitive.
Yeah.
Compared to last week. So, yeah, I could probably skip it, but funnily enough, it drew more than the previous week by 100 people. So
really,
yeah, because on the 12th they got 1,100, and then this week they got 1,200. So
that's bizarre. I guess that's not a huge variance though. 100 people.
No, yeah, but USWA people are bizarre.
That is very true.
Yeah. Speaking of bizarre, let's get right into the Raw episode here on September 19th, 1994 from Lowell, Massachusetts. Of course, we're still taped because all this transpired before SummerSlam. We start off with a video highlighting the heel turn by Tatanka. Tatanka has joined the $1 Million Corporation. On Superstars, Tatanka was seen wearing a suit, and he was with Ted DiBiase. I believe they got out of a limo or a pretty good car. Tatanka appreciates the value of $1 and the value of $1 million. So after that, we get the Raw opening video. Austin's basically doing cartwheels over there. Go ahead, Austin, how you felt about this little video package.
Jesus Christ, I loved every fucking second of it. Ted DiBiase has done the impossible by making me a fucking Tatanka fan. Because I love every single thing about this. I love the limo. I love that he comes out in the fucking suit with the fucking bedazzled fucking collar on it. I love that he's on Heartbreak Hotel in a suit with Ted saying, not only do I know the value of $1, I know the value of $1 million. And then they both laugh like fucking idiots and we cut into the Raw opening. I fucking love this. I never knew this was a thing. I never knew Tatanka turned heel and was like with the $1 Million Man. I had no idea this shit ever happened. And if I wasn't watching for ICOPOD, I would have never known because I would have never went to seek this out. So I fucking love that I'm surprised. I love that I didn't expect this heel turn. And I love the fact that they're taking Tatanka and basically completely doing a 180 on his character. This is the most I've liked Tatanka the entire show. Since we started recording. I'm super into it. Super into it. And is it going to be good? I mean, probably fucking not. But like, fuck yeah to the visual and the story of this. I super enjoy it. The guy who's pointing the fingers the whole time, oh, it's you, it's you, it's you. And then behind closed doors, he's like, all right, give me the fucking money. Let's just give me the money. We'll blame it on Lex. Come on, Ted. Like, fuck yeah to that. I've had a thought in my head, right? So I'm watching this and the Raw video opens and I'm thinking, imagine if just randomly now faces turn and it's because they're getting money from Ted and it just keeps happening. And they're all in suits. They all are coming out of the limo. Like, holy fucking shit. That would be so cool. And it's guys you don't expect.
Yeah.
To just be like, yeah, I took the money. WWF's in a lull right now. Ted was willing to buy me out of my contract, making me loyal to Vince McMahon. I'm loyal to Ted DiBiase, and we're going to do what we want on this fucking show. Yes, please.
My whole thing is I hope he changes his gear.
I mean, I would think he has to.
Yeah.
He has to. If anything, it's going to be the trunks with like money signs on them, probably.
I was hoping he kind of would wear like slacks and stuff.
Oh, that would be fucking cool too.
You know, kind of be like
totally for that.
Kind of be like IRS, but like without a shirt, just has the slacks over.
Yeah, yeah,
that'd be kind of funny.
I'd be totally down for that. But I could see it becoming a like kind of a badass little stable. You know, yeah. Maybe you cycle out. Maybe Ted's like, listen, I'm sick of spending my money in these spots. I'm re-upping and I'm changing who I'm surrounding myself with. And Tatanka's my new first guy. I'm starting from scratch. I got money to spend and we don't know who's going to be next. We don't know. Because really think about it. That was kind of the selling point for the Lex Luger thing. Did he or did he not? And that kind of helped carry it a little bit. You can do that with fucking anybody. And it's like, holy shit. And like, maybe we're focusing on, oh my God, Razor Ramon took the money. And then all of a sudden, 1-2-3 Kid comes out in a suit. And it's like, motherfucker, 1-2-3 Kid took the money. You could do that for fucking everybody. And it would be so good. So, I don't know, man. I'm super into it. And like, the possibilities for that are endless. Like for Ted to just buy faces randomly and turn them heel. You could easily do that.
I have a question for you, though.
What?
Doesn't it hurt a little bit that he lost to the fake Undertaker, who was hired by Ted DiBiase?
It definitely does. Yeah, it definitely does. But again, Tatanka is still worth the money, I think.
Okay.
Because it's such a departure. To whereas it's like Adam Bomb, like, oh, we've already seen that. You know, oh, okay. He's already been heel.
So
Same
it's like a
Bam Bam. Oh, he's been heel. Like whatever.
Right. Okay. So it's like because it's different.
It's drastically different from what we expect from Tatanka. Okay. Like you do not expect that from Tatanka. So I think if they were to do that with other guys that you like would not see coming, I'd be super into that. Like I said, 1, 2, 3 Kid comes out. It's like, listen, the WWF checks were okay, especially for my age, but I'll tell you what, that was a much better offer, and I'm not stupid. I'm young. I'm in it for the money, guys.
Yeah. To all of our listeners there, maybe you're new. I want you guys to go back to episode 1. And it was very evident from episode 1 until about episode 89 to where Austin was heavily against Tatanka, and now he is a fan. And I told him that by hook or by crook, I would make him a fan of Tatanka. And here we are. He's a fan of Tatanka. I feel vindicated and proud. As for the show here, Vince McMahon and Randy Savage welcome us to Raw, and they talk about how shocked they are by Tatanka and what he ended up doing to Lex Luger at SummerSlam. They also chat about Duke Droese and Jerry Lawler in their match tonight. Savage predicts that Droese will, in fact, defeat Lawler. We go into our first match of the evening. It's Lex Luger taking on the Executioner. Pretty standard match here for
basic
made in the U.S. of A.
Yeah.
Lex Luger, though he does bring out the torture rack to win it by submission. He still has some level of connection with the fans. Of course, this is before SummerSlam, though. So who knows if that would have translated afterwards with everything that happened with Tatanka there. But, yeah, just a simple match here for Luger. Nothing to really write home about.
Yeah, I mean, it was solid. And again, he finishes with the rack. He gets the fire show to end things off. Mind you, it's an enhancement squash match. So the fact that he gets fireworks and a pose down is a little ridiculous.
Yeah, it was a little over the top.
But again, this is where Lex is kind of made to be. Middle of the pack, getting little squash matches, getting a clean finish with the rack, and doing a pose down. That's about as high as you can put Lex Luger. At this point, you really can't do much more than that.
Yeah.
IC title, if he's lucky. Other than that, man, if he's not in a tag team, he's kind of reached his ceiling in WWF, in my opinion. It's about the optimal position he can be put in.
I think you're right. I don't see him as a singles main event guy.
No
which
way.
They were trying to shove down our throat. He's a low mid-card singles-wise, but if you partner him up with somebody, you're probably going to get the most that you can out of him.
I agree, because too much Lex Luger, you start seeing the chinks in the armor. If he's tagging in and out, you can kind of buy him way easier. In my opinion, and I've said it before on this show, I think Lex Luger was destined to be a tag team guy. I don't think he should have ever had a singles run, realistically. He didn't have enough. He might have checked 8 out of the 10 boxes, but those other 2 boxes are super, super important. And if you don't have all 10, you're not really cut out to be a fucking A+ main event guy.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like Lex in a tag team would be very, very efficient. And I think the crowd would get behind him way more, because at least he's probably going to be partnered up with somebody the fans fucking love, and he'll get the rub off of that. And they're able to forget all of the losses and all the devastation that Lex has basically faced since we started watching. So I don't know. I think that's a very good route to go. Otherwise, if he's going to be singles, this is kind of his cap. You really can't do much more than what you're doing here with him.
Yeah, but I have a feeling that they're going to continue to try to
I know.
make him bigger than what he probably should be.
I know.
A video promoting next week's show is aired, which is seemingly a little earlier than most weeks. Next week, we will see Tatanka in singles action, Diesel and Shawn Michaels in tag team action. The British Bulldog will make his first ever Raw appearance, as he will be on King's Court. So you're a huge fan of Tatanka, the tag champs, and the Bulldog on King's Court. Little spoiler here. Next week's edition of Raw is back to being live. So that's probably why they're making it, maybe stronger. Yeah. Stronger than the last couple of weeks here.
I was going to say, I'm actually already looking forward to next week's show, because truth be told, I have a little soft spot for British Bulldog.
Yes, you do.
I don't know how soft the spot's going to be for him in WWF 94, but it was pretty soft in 92. I was pretty into it. And I love the British Bulldogs tag team, him and Dynamite. So I don't know, man. I'm going to give it a chance. I didn't like his WCW stuff. I'll tell you that right off the fucking bat. Because that wasn't good. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. And I'm obviously pretty high on the tag champs. So yeah, I mean, next week, I'm going to stay optimistic. You know, maybe we're ready for a bounce back week. I sure as shit think we are. So
I think we are too. I think that the first couple weeks are after the pay-per-view just to get us through it. And then we're going to jump into build for Survivor Series. So
yeah,
we got to get through the crap first. And the crap continues here because before the next match, Jerry Lawler rips on the crowd and tells them that they need to kiss his feet when he comes to the ring. He proceeds to tell us that he's going to take the trash out tonight. That leads us to our second match of the evening with Duke Droese taking on Jerry the King Lawler. Starts off with a side headlock by Lawler, and then Droese powers out by slamming Lawler to the canvas. Lawler complains of Droese using the tights and hair for illegal leverage. Lawler misses a right hand in the corner and is knocked to the floor with a right hand from Droese. Droese hip tosses Lawler out of the corner and continues to hammer away on him. Lawler goes to the floor and stalls for a few moments. Droese blocks an Irish whip and manages to backdrop Lawler. Lawler rolls to the floor as Raw goes to a commercial break. Lawler goes in his tights to grab a chain. Lawler challenges Droese to a test of strength, but hides the chain from the referee as he checks his hand. Lawler ends up nailing Droese with the chain and hammers away on Droese in the corner for a few moments. Lawler works on Droese with several jabs and chokes him across the middle rope. Lawler leaps off the middle rope and connects with a fist trap, but only manages a 2 count. Lawler sets Droese up for a pile driver, and he plants Droese with it. Lawler goes to the floor to grab the trash can, but it turns out that Dink was in the trash can the entire time, and he squirts water into Lawler's eyes. This causes Lawler to chase Dink around the ring up the aisleway and is counted out. After the match, Dink bites Lawler's butt, and he runs into the ring. Droese trips Lawler and allows Dink to embarrass Lawler some more. Doink shows up from behind, and Lawler ends up bailing through the crowd. So needless to say, to me, this segment does not help out Duke Droese in the slightest bit because he was pretty much beaten right in the ring there. And then we get a comedy segment with the Dink being in the trash can to screw over Lawler. So it would appear that the main angle here now is between Lawler and Doink and Dink. And I couldn't be more excited about it. I'm so thrilled. Austin, I think you're crying. I'm not sure what's going on. But what did you think of this match and segment between Droese and Lawler in the clouds?
Well, to just say that I wasn't looking forward to it is an understatement because, again, I'm not invested in Lawler and Droese at all. I think Droese has potential, not as a garbage man, but as something else. Tag him up with Adam Bomb and have them be 2 big badasses that just beat everybody up. Okay, sign me up. But not here. A lot of stalling. Lawler is... You might as well call him Jerry the King Staller.
Yeah.
Because all he does is beg off, roll out of the ring, hide behind the ref. Just, it's all stalling. There's no substance in 1994 Jerry Lawler matches. And that sucks. Because I hate to tell Jerry Lawler, but the shit he's doing in 86 in front of 2,000 people is not doing him any favors in front of world television in 94.
Well, to be fair, Lawler was doing that in 86 in front of like 8 to 11,000 people. Memphis was still pretty high in 86.
Regardless.
Okay. It starts to dip a little bit in the late 80s.
My statement
Early
stands. 90s. My statement stands.
I'm just saying.
Different crowd, different era, and it's very apparent that Jerry has not caught up to 1994. Because you know what? Heel work could get you by.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, heel work, as good as Jerry is getting heel work over, it's just the pace of his matches completely negate the fact. There's no hiding it at this point. So we have that to look forward to. Nothing really happened in this match. We got a lot of Duke saying, come on, come on, come on, and Lawler being like, I'm going to taunt the crowd and do a couple of punches and then bail to the floor. So that's what we had here. We got a couple of spots where he was like, pretending to pull something out of his tights, and then he puts it back, and then he hits him, and then he puts it back, and then he uses it again. It's like, who the fuck knows what's going on? Lawler does hit a super nice pile driver, though. I mean, thankfully, at least he is doing that still. And when he goes to grab the trash can outside, I'm thinking one of two things. One, I'm thinking Dink is in the trash can. I mean, that's an easy setup, right? Or two, I'm thinking he's going to use the trash can on Duke again. And again, we're going to get a Jack Tunney awkward apologize video. So I'm thinking one of two things are happening. So we get the Doink thing and the Dink thing. Whatever. At least it's continuation, and at least it makes sense. So I guess I didn't hate the finish that Lawler chases Dink around and he gets counted out. Like, fuck. At least Lawler ain't beating Droese, because if they're trying to build Droese, that would have fucking killed him. And to have Droese beat Lawler, I don't feel like he's to that level yet. As that sounds pathetic, but I think it's true. Mm-hmm. So I guess in that sense, I didn't hate it. The fact that Dink then comes back out, bites him on the rear end, Droese gets in on the comedy and does bullshit, and then Doink comes out and does bullshit comedy, and then they all three like chase Jerry through the crowd, and then he's just gone. And it's stupid. It's stupid. Lawler gets sprayed with a flower. It's stupid.
I kind of think what they did makes Droese look like a buffoon.
Oh my God, a clown. And then he's getting like close up in the camera, like making faces and holding Dink. And it's like, dude, if you're going to be a clown, put the fucking face paint on with him, and you're going to be just a clown with them, because that's the way you just portrayed yourself. Yeah. I get that he's trying to make the best of it, and you can tell he is. He's really trying to embrace it. He's trying to be the best garbage man he can. He's trying to have fun. But at the same time, dude, you look like a fucking jabroni. Like, nobody's taking you serious.
I would have had Droese just win the match based off from the distraction, not having to be necessarily a count out.
Yeah.
But because, I mean, like, Lawler losing to Droese,
it's not a super big deal.
Right. And I think a guy like Lawler is able to, and if he loses any heat from it, he's able to recover.
Absolutely.
But the thing is how much heat is he going to lose, because he's feuding with a clown.
Well, not only that, but
Doink, who's probably lower on the card than Droese is.
Yes. And I was going to say, and anything that Droese would have gained from that victory, he would have immediately lost, because then again, the shine goes right back on Doink and Dink.
Yeah.
So Droese just gets lost in the shuffle, which is what ended up happening here anyway. He was the third wheel.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. Doink and Dink need to not be on TV. They need to not be on Raw. They should not be on Raw feuds.
Yeah, they should be just strictly syndication
weekend,
and house shows.
Yes, I agree.
Not be on the main program.
No, that has run its course 3 times over.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. I just am sick of this. I am not looking forward now to a Lawler Doink thing. Like, holy shit, I don't want that. Give me Lawler Droese instead. Fuck, now I'm regretting complaining about that.
I'm willing to say that Lawler Doink might be a candidate for like the worst feud already that we've had to sit through. And it's been 2 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
So
that's a scary thought.
Yeah. That we're probably going to have a substantial more time to have to deal with it.
Yeah.
let's go to some positivity here. It's our third contest. It's the Heavenly Bodies, who have really grown into being maybe one of our favorite tag teams for this year in the WWF, taking on Mike Bell and Steve King. At least there's some good news to come out of this, because the Heavenly Bodies are able to actually win a match. That's because Del Rey pins King following a top rope moonsault. If only the Head Shrinkers were still the tag team champions, because by God, the Heavenly Bodies should be the number one contenders, and they should be challenging them on television. But of course, Diesel and Shawn Michaels are the tag champs. They're heels. The Bodies are heels, so that's never going to happen. What did you make out of this Heavenly Bodies squash match, if you have any notes on it there, Austin?
So I'll tell you what, a couple of things here. Really quick, Action Zone is promoted as debuting on October 23rd on a Sunday afternoon. So we're now getting a Sunday afternoon show, and is promoted as All Action, Less Talk.
Sounds eerily familiar to something today.
Yeah. So I guess we'll see kind of how that goes. I really don't expect much out of it, to be honest. I'm surprised they're adding yet another weekend TV show.
I believe this is kind of replacing wrestling, or maybe All American or Wrestling Challenge. I think Wrestling Challenge is there for like another year or so.
Okay.
But Action Zone was definitely replacing one of the syndicated shows.
Okay. So, I mean, we'll see. We might end up seeing some stuff from that. Quick shout out here to Steve King, 2CW alumni, local company.
Strangler Steve.
Yep. So shout out to Strangler Steve for that. I thought that was pretty cool. And I'll tell you what, he was making the Bodies look like $1 million here, because he was selling his little ass off for these guys. The Bodies looked fucking dangerous and quick and crisp. We're getting belly to bellies, dives, moonsaults. Yeah, Bodies are looking good. Steve King doesn't even get to tag out to his partner, and they finished things off pretty quick here. So looked good to me. I was into it. I'm a Bodies fan. I really like Jimmy Del Rey for some reason. I really like Dr. Tom Pritchard for some reason. So yeah, sign me up. I want to see more of these guys.
And you might, if we ever watch another Smoky Mountain Wrestling show.
Oh.
You never know.
You never know.
Let's go to our next segment, which is pretty much the biggest segment of the show.
But before we do.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Before we do, I got to bring light again to our weird religious commercial.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Because we got a new one this week. As if last week's wasn't fucking enough. Here we are. We're back in the confessional with the priest. And now as a girl confessing her sins to the Father. She's saying she's been having these sinful thoughts about this Bret the Hitman Hart and this Shawn Michaels guy and this Razor Ramon. She just doesn't know. She's beside herself. She doesn't know what to do with herself, with these filthy thoughts that she's been thinking about these men on WWF programming. The priest says he thinks, oh, we can work something out, which came off as, you're going to do sexual favors for me, and I'm going to forgive your sins and tell God that you're all good. So that was a little weird. And again, we get WWF, put your faith in us. I think this was worse than last week's. Because
it's creepy.
It's creepy and it's cringeworthy, because now you're incorporating sex in with religion, as if wrestling religion were like not lamb and tuna fish enough. Now it's just like a fucking shit sandwich that nobody wants to eat. It just doesn't come off good. Like, it doesn't make you look good. So I don't know. And again, that kind of rolls into Savage making me laugh, because as we get back into the arena, he says, I know what the girl was really thinking about. She's thinking about the madness. All she needs to do to, bless her sins is do 3 Hail Machos and 3 Hail Mans. So I thought that was fucking great. That Savage just piggybacks on it and puts himself over, because fuck you out of that.
Of course.
So we do get a little bit of something out of that, but again, pretty brutal.
All right, so as I was saying, up next here is the is a pretty big segment, I would say, for what may be transpiring here for the rest of the year. So I'll just get right into it. Vince McMahon is in the ring, and he introduces former WWF World Champion Bob Backlund. McMahon mentions all the previous things Backlund has done throughout his career. He believes the WWF World Champion Bret Hart has proved that he is, in fact, better than Bob Backlund. McMahon notes that Backlund wanted to make a comeback to regain the WWF World Championship, and he says Backlund snapped once he lost to Bret Hart recently on Superstars. Backlund makes it known that he does not like to use the word former. He believes that he defeated Bret Hart in the middle of the ring. He has standards that none of the fans can live up to. Backlund doesn't want to be part of a corrupt society, and he mentions that the fans changed and that they used to love him. He says that when he put the chicken wing submission on Bret Hart, he put it on all the fans as well. And he proclaims that the chicken wing submission is the best submission in all of wrestling, and no one can get out of it. The fans are chanting "has been" towards him. Backlund turns his attention to the fact that 50% of the people cannot read. McMahon doubts that there isn't a way to get out of the chicken wing submission. And then Backlund announces that if someone wants to come in and try to get out of the chicken wing, he will retire from wrestling if they are successful. McMahon is called out by Backlund, but McMahon suggests calling out a wrestler. So instead of getting a wrestler, they get a writer for the WWF magazine named Louis. I couldn't possibly pronounce his last name, but it's the head writer for the WWF magazine. His name is Louis. He's a scrawny, short man, shorter than Bob Backlund, to give you some visual aid there. He enters the ring, and he agrees to be put in the chicken wing for a demonstration. Backlund gets the hold on Louis and proceeds to not let go, and he goes nuts. And Vince McMahon's yelling at him like, "Let go of the hold, Bob. Bob, no, he's not. He's just a writer. He's not. He's physically. He's on the mat." Vince is like pulling him off, and it's just kind of really well done. I think that Vince is just so physically active into the segment. Of course, Randy Savage slides into the ring to save Louis as well. Backlund gets on a microphone and proclaims that no one can get out of the chicken wing to close the segment. One other thing here I didn't write down that really made me laugh was that I believe it was early on in the promo, Bob said that he never lost it, and he considers himself the WWF champion for the last 16 years. So when this is the way he delivered that line, he said, "I've been the champion for 16 years, Vince." That made me pop. I chuckled a few times because of that. As for this segment, just to give you guys a reminder here, back in 1993, the Royal Rumble, I was on the Bob Backlund train. He tricked me for like an hour, and then throughout all of '93, I realized, wow, this guy's not that great. Austin, I think I've been tricked again because this lunatic Bob Backlund. Okay. Just from a promo perspective, I want to see it again. I want to see what they could possibly do. I'm intrigued to see maybe how he could wrestle with this new attitude instead of being like the all-American, like follow the rules. If this guy has snapped mentally, who knows what the hell he'll do in the ring? Staring at his hands all the time. I don't know. But I'm intrigued. And, it's like going to, an ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend. You know they're bad for you, but you might try to do it. And I know Bob Backlund's bad for me. But by God, I think I'm going for it again. Austin, what did you think of Bob Backlund and his delirious promo here with Vince McMahon?
I want to take some time because this, out of the two things, to Tatanka thing, this was the second thing that I really kind of wanted to dissect. Okay. Because going into this, I fucking can't stand Bob Backlund. I don't like him in the ring. I don't believe what he's talking about. He comes off as just passe. Like I'm over Bob Backlund. So to see he's getting a spotlight interview here, I'm going into it very negatively. Not looking forward to this. Vince putting over his past accomplishments, it's kind of riling up the crowd. And he brought up the fact that Bob Backlund was basically bested by Bret Hart a couple weeks ago.
Right.
He brings up that he feels like Bob has snapped. And I love that Bob Backlund completely ignores everything Vince is talking about, grabs the mic, and just rattles. So he starts off with, I don't like the word former. And like you said, he says, I'm celebrating my 16th year as the champion. Bret Hart's the guy holding the belt. I'm the champion. And he says he's looking forward to celebrating his 18th year, which he skips a year. So I thought that was funny that he's like fumbling already. He's like 18th year. I really liked the idea of Bob Backlund is saying he says that regular people can't live up to his standards. Society hasn't lived up to his standards. You know, he's appalled because a perfect world would be under his reign, and that people in society have changed since he's been champion. And it's very obvious to him. You know, he brings up the chicken wing on Bret because that's what he wants to do to society and all that same stuff that you were talking about. He even goes to say that, you know, most people suffer, 50% of Americans suffer from dyslexia. You know, what kind of education system is that? 50% of people don't know how to read. That's not a society I stand behind. It's like, holy fuck, Bob, you're bringing up fucking some serious shit here. I don't know if you can actually say that. And Vince is like, well, hold on. I want to retract some of your statements that you've made there. It's like, okay. And this is kind of where things start falling off the wagon a little bit for me. Because leading up to that, Bob Backlund is passionate. I feel like he believes what he's fucking saying. And he's coming off like a goddamn lunatic. Like, who the fuck is this guy? At one point, Vince pulls the mic away and he's like, this is Bob Backlund. And then Bob pulls it right back. He's like, oh, I ain't done, motherfucker. So I'm like, holy shit. Let's see where else this crazy old man's going. He does start to kind of be repetitive. You can tell the segment's maybe going a little bit longer than they anticipated, probably because it's going so well. Yeah. So he does kind of start kind of repeating himself. He says that if anybody can escape and walk away from the chicken wing, he's going to retire from pro wrestling. He's going to be done. So then he starts peeling off his jacket. I'm thinking, is this motherfucker about to put the chicken wing on Vince McMahon?
Which I would have loved.
I was ready for it. I was like, dude, if you do that, fucking okay. I guess I'm going to see where this is going to go, because holy shit. He doesn't do it. He ends up doing it to the writer. But I think the best part of this whole kind of post-interview thing is, like you said, everything unravels. Bob starts whipping this dude around, fucking ragdolling him, gets him down to the mat. Vince is pulling him off, like screaming at Bob Backlund. The camera guy stumbles and like falls down, and like we miss a little bit of the action. We get a shot of Savage fucking whipping the headset down, jumping from the table, sliding in the ring. Officials are coming in. This is the shit that sells me on pro wrestling. When it feels fucking real. When it doesn't feel like a fucking pre-canned, pre-scripted promo. And shit just starts hitting the fan. And now there's nobody on commentary. The ring's a fucking mess. Bob Backlund's a lunatic because he just choked out a writer, basically. So they're all tending to the writer, and then Bob Backlund's just standing there, and he's able to get on the fucking mic again. It's like, who the fuck? How the fuck did he get the mic again? And then he starts going into it again. I'm Mr. Bob Backlund. And you know what? That's what discipline was all about. I just showed you. Basically, like, who's going to come and fucking stop me? Yeah. Holy shit. Where is this fucking coming from? I went into this shit knowing I'm going to fucking hate this garbage. Did it go too long? Probably. But I'll tell you what. Super strong beginning. Middle. Super strong ending for this segment. So, am I buying into a Bob Backlund fucking angle? I mean, no, but am I interested to see what the fuck they're going to do with this guy now? Yeah, and I do think that it can be interesting because, again, it's kind of the whole new generation, but hey, this guy's a quote-unquote has-been and is like trying to force his way through the door that's closing on him. So I don't know. I mean, we'll see where it goes. I think promo-wise, I was not expecting that from Bob Backlund. And maybe there's some truth behind the shit he's saying. Maybe part of him does feel that way. Because it seemed to come from a very genuine place. So I don't know. I'm going to stay optimistic, I guess, which is crazy to me to say that about a Bob Backlund angle. And I think that's where I told you at the top of the program, you were going to be blown away. Because I'm going to stay optimistic about a fucking Bob Backlund angle. So that's where I'm at with it.
Well, I'm glad that you're giving it a shot.
I'm going to give it a shot because holy shit, yeah. Right.
I thought it was, like I said, I thought it was really nicely done, and I think I'm getting suckered into something bad here. So, I would imagine, because of the mentioning of Bret Hart, that now you got Jim Neidhart and now you have Bob Backlund. I mean, on paper, if you take it out of the angles and perspective, pretty weak challengers for Bret, all things considered.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Right.
But, if there's a strong angle here with Bob Backlund, who knows what they can get out of it. So, there's a level of interest, but I'm not sold necessarily like you aren't, but I am definitely interested in seeing what Bob Backlund is up to, which kind of blows my mind for a new generation that one of these old timers I'm actually interested in. And really with this whole new generation, you can make the argument that this is a new Bob Backlund. So right. It's not like a true old timer. It's a different take on the character. So.
Right.
Who knows?
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm going to stay optimistic. I mean, I by no means a Bob Backlund fan, but maybe they can make me one. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. We'll see here over the next couple of weeks, months. Who knows? Maybe Bob Backlund will be champion again for 7 years in a row. Or for him, he'd probably consider it 23 years. Who knows? I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's go to our fourth contest. It's Sparky Plugg taking on Richie Rich. Pretty basic stuff here again for Plugg, and he's able to win it following a top rope cross body. What'd you think of the WWF race car driver getting a victory?
Really quick, Bob, I'm getting a little bit of like a crackly feedback from your mic. It's almost like your phone's like really close to the microphone or something's like interfering with it a little bit.
How about now?
It's still crackly a little bit. Regardless, the only note I kind of got out of this one was that Vince McMahon on commentary refers to Thurman Sparky Plugg as Bob Sparkplug Holly. He says Bob Holly a couple of times. Okay. So it sounds to me like they're maybe ditching the hokiness of Sparky Plugg's name.
Well, they might be ditching it, but I'm going to keep with it.
Well, regardless. They continued on about the bitterness of Bob Backlund. That was kind of like the focus at the commentary table, which I thought was appropriate. And I almost wish that they didn't return to commentary for this match and kind of sold the moment a little bit more. I thought that would have been cool. But this was nothing special. It felt kind of thrown in and rushed, which again makes me think that the Bob Backlund segment probably went on a little bit longer than they planned. But for Holly to get a win here, I mean, we'll see what happens. But again, I don't think in this current venture of character, it's got too much steam behind it. I don't know. We've seen crazier shit happen. Fucking Doink's still on Raw TV. So if he can survive, maybe the race car driver turned wrestler has more legs on it than I think.
Well, I recently bought a Sparky Plugg action figure for $40. Actually, I got it for $30.
What a mark!
Listen, Dallas, or let me say, Hogan 98 money got me that little Sparky Plugg race car guy, so I have to get the actual figure with it, right? It makes the most sense to me.
I mean, I guess.
So now I have like the complete set, so we're all good. I mean, I kind of like Sparky Plugg, but I don't know. He doesn't really have any momentum. He's just kind of filling.
Yeah, he's just floating. He's just floating in the universe. He's here, but we don't know what he's doing. But he's here. Here he is, kind of thing.
Yeah, he's on the television that we should care about, but we don't know why we care about him.
Yeah, exactly.
Our main event of the evening is Yokozuna taking on Phil Apollo. I believe this is Yokozuna's first appearance, really, since like King of the Ring or something. He's been off television for a little while. He didn't have a match at SummerSlam. There wasn't any build for him.
Right.
So here he is. As you would expect, he has no problem with Phil Apollo. He hits his usual moves, and he's able to win following the Banzai drop. But after the match, Yoko hears Undertaker's like gong and his music, and that just terrifies him. And he runs backstage to avoid any kind of interaction with the Undertaker. So that feud's probably still going on. That angle of him being afraid of the dark and death, I guess, which kind of started at the end of '93. So we're going like a full year now.
Yeah.
For the story, off and on, of course, not consecutive. But
right.
What do you think of Yokozuna and Undertaker continuing their feud?
Well, again, here I feel like Yoko's appearance and really this match in general just feels super rushed. Like everything was getting thrown. It's like, oh, we got to get through the rest of the show. Just go, 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 kind of thing. So Yoko wins his little squash match here. The lights drop and Undertaker's little bell gong thing hits. I really, really don't like the idea of Yoko like running away from stuff. This man is near 600 pounds. He's a fucking decorated sumo guy, or is supposed to be. He squashes people with the Banzai drop. Has been the WWF champion in very recent history. And yet he's like scared of the Undertaker. I don't know, man. Like,
well, you know, it's kind of like Andre the Giant being afraid of a snake.
I was just going to make that comparison. But then again, I feel like the snake thing's more believable because everybody's afraid of snakes, you know? And a snake could actually kill you.
Yeah, but I think even like from a casual fan, you're looking at a guy like Andre the Giant, and like he could have just like
killed,
literally squished the snake.
Yeah.
Like he just casually step on it and it's dead.
Right.
And of course, like anybody that feuded with Jake Roberts in the late '80s was afraid of snakes.
No, right.
But so yeah, this whole afraid of the dark is just like a little played out, I guess.
It's silly
because everybody's afraid.
Right, and it's passe, and it doesn't do Yokozuna any favors because he needs a lot of favors right now, and this is not doing him any favors. So that kind of sucks. I hate to say it, man, but I jumped off the Yokozuna train a long time ago, and this ain't helping me jump back on. I'm over him and Undertaker. I just feel like it's lazy at this point, and I don't know. I just have no interest. I have no interest in a continued feud between these two guys. How much more can you really do?
Well, you might have jumped off the Yokozuna train, but you jumped on the Tatanka train.
Dude, when he walked out of that fucking limo with a suit on, fucking 12 earrings in both ears, looking like he went out and bought just the most ridiculous shit he could buy. It doesn't get much better than that. He traded in the longhouse for the fucking penthouse, baby, and I love it. I'm all over that.
It's so fucking great.
Yeah.
Vince McMahon and Randy Savage hype up next week's show. Of course, again, this features Shawn Michaels and Diesel in tag team action. British Bulldog will be on King's Court, and Tatanka will be in singles action. We will also have an update on Louis, the WWF writer's health status following the attack from Bob Backlund. And that wraps up the show this week. Kind of similar to last week in terms of like not being that great, although this does have the segment with Bob Backlund, which was pretty damn well executed. So at least there's that. Yeah. So pretty run of the mill. I'm excited for next week's just because it's live, and that means that they're going to have fresh material. And we'll kind of maybe get an idea of where they're going to be going for the next couple of months here as we head into Survivor Series and then the Royal Rumble as well to head into 95. So I'm not giving up on the product by any means, but I'm just glad we got through these 2 weeks, and hopefully next week the action drastically improves.
Yeah, I do think this was a small step up from last week. At least I was somewhat involved in the watching. I just feel like the week before, man, last week, I just couldn't get into it. But But yeah, I think that we're gonna step in the right direction, and I am looking forward to next week's watch. So we have that to kind of sit on for the next 7 days. But yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Again, the Bob Backlund stuff surprised me. I was kind of bummed that we got the hype up of the Tatanka turn, but then didn't see him at all tonight. So I was a little bummed about that. But on the whole, there was definitely more to chew on this week as opposed to last week. A lot of it was still filler. Not going to sugarcoat that. You can definitely tell it's still fucking taped. But it was a step up, and I'll take that for what it is. And I am like, dude, next week, Diesel Shawn, Bulldog on King's Court, Tatanka in action. An update on this guy who gets choked out. Maybe he's going to get fucking choked out again. Savage is pumped to be here next week. Vince is pumped to be here next week. And you know what? I'm ready for a change of scenery as it comes in, a different arena, live, back to what we're supposed to be. So finally, hopefully we're going to get a little bit of a momentum swing because boy, do we need it at this point.
Yeah, there's no question about that. Before we wrap it up, though, I want to make note that I meant to, I think, maybe read this a couple weeks ago, but we are into the month of September, and this email that Mike Campbell sent me is actually relevant to roughly this time period.
Okay.
Now, of course, my email is going to take a minute here to load up because my computer's old as dirt. But I believe it's in reference to an interaction that his father had with a wrestler.
Oh.
And it's kind of funny, if I remember correctly. Come on. Am I still having a weird thing with my microphone?
Yeah, you have been ever since I made mention of it. But, I mean, hopefully that's not playing back through because it's not like it's a huge deal, but it almost sounds like the crinkling of chips, like a little chip bag is like crinkling. But it's not super distracting, but yeah, it's definitely still there.
That's weird. Maybe if I turn my fan off, that will help. But I've had my fan on the entire time, so that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it's still kind of there a little bit. No big deal.
Yeah, great. Yeah, no big deal for you.
Yeah, I sound great.
Yeah, of course you do. All right. Is this really not going to load for me? Then I'll just try to tell you. Yeah, I'm not going to mess with this right now. Sorry, Mike. Well, maybe it's going to load. Anyway, the story here is that at a house show in like Waterloo, New York, a wrestler like went into a gas station or something and was looking for the high school in which the show was taking place. And I guess the wrestler was Jeff Jarrett. He didn't know where the venue was at. And I think his dad was like, oh, it's like right down the street or something. And yeah, here it is right here. It's just loading. Gmail is apparently really slow on a Mac.
You really sold me on that story there, Bob.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just trying to not have it be dead air because, okay. It's a little bit longer than what I anticipated. So here we go.
Shocker. Okay, let's hear it here.
Yeah. In September of 94, the WWF ran a house show at my high school in Waterloo, New York. My family is from Waterloo, in fact. My father still lives there. I'd spend the summer there to see my dad and his family, so I saw ads all over the place. But there was no way that I was going to be able to go. School would have already started, and I'd be 160 miles away in the suburb of Schenectady.
It's connected. It's connected.
Yeah. At the time, my dad was working part-time on the weekends at a gas station called George's. He's working the afternoon of the show, and he sees a big Cadillac pull into the lot, and a little guy jump out of it. He says to himself, "Who's this fucking guy?" He asks directions to the Waterloo High School. Dad gives him directions, and he drives off. 5 minutes later, he realized who the fucking guy was. It was Double J, Jeff Jarrett.
That's pretty fucking funny. That's a cool little memory too, because realistically, you can totally buy into the fact that his dad is like doesn't recognize this guy at first because like why would you? It's fucking Jeff Jarrett. But it takes a minute to click, and it's like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. But the fact that Jeff Jarrett's pulling up in a Cadillac, where the fuck is the show? Oh, at the high school. You got to go this way. All right, y'all, thanks. And then gets back in the fucking Cadillac and drives away. Like, okay. That's pretty cool. That's a cool little story. And it's moments like that that I think we help with the fueling of, because, again, this stuff just doesn't get covered enough. And for the people like to share even small stories like that, I think is so cool, because where else do you get that opportunity? Where else do you get to share something like that?
Yeah. I was trying to look up the house show that maybe he was referencing in
Waterloo. That had to be in front of maybe 300 people?
I don't
nothing.
know. So
nothing happens in Waterloo, dude.
So yeah, I typed it in for 94 and there's nothing. And I even go into 95 to see maybe it was a mix up in dates, but there's one in Watertown in that year, but there's no Jeff Jarrett. So unless Jeff Jarrett's just casually going to Watertown, New York, I don't know what he's doing. But yeah, there's no it must have been a really small show, is what I'm trying to get at here. That it wasn't even documented in any kind of results. So it's kind of interesting because even in September, they're mostly in England and stuff.
I mean, the timeline may be a little bit weird, but I'm sure it's probably roughly around there. But
I'm definitely believing his story. I'm not questioning that.
Well, and I was going to say,
intrigued to see maybe where, what maybe happened on the show.
Well, and I was going to say, who even knows as far as what was even on that show, and if it was even really documented. Like I said, Waterloo, what the fuck's going on in Waterloo, dude? Nothing. So
it might not have been. It could have been a local show, because sometimes they would use.
Yeah, no, it
talent would be shipped out there. So.
It definitely could have been. So I don't know. Who knows?
That's funny. Yeah, there's nothing. There's Niagara Falls. That's October though. And it's not really that close. Yeah. All right. So I guess there's nothing there. But yeah, I figured I told Mike that I'd read it once we got to September, and I did. I did my due diligence.
There you go.
All right. So yeah, it looks like we're moving forward here with ICOPOD. Mike Campbell, of course, at some point will be doing Uncensored 95 when we get there in the timeline. We survived 2 subpar episodes of Raw.
That's putting it mildly.
Well, yeah, I don't want to trash it too much. Okay.
Well, listen, man, we got to be honest with the people.
I want to get a job with the WWF. Okay.
Fuck it.
All right. That's what I want to do. That's what this whole goal is to get a job with the WWF.
Well, with that said, I think we are in desperate need of a good, solid episode of Raw, because we have really, really hit a lull lately. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed the ride with us, because I don't know if we've enjoyed the ride, but really it comes down to how you guys are feeling about it. And I'll tell you what, if you're feeling so inclined, please share us around, spread the word. We are trying to grow and grow and grow, almost as much as my love for Tatanka in the last 2 weeks has just grown and grown and grown.
Yeah. Well, speaking of growing, I've seen a few people leaving ratings on the iTunes account and stuff like that.
Okay.
But I guess what's really important for that is that you just leave a comment on it. So you could just be like, yeah, this is great, or something, even a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Just so that drives us up a little bit. I know there's maybe a handful of reviews on there, but they're all appreciated. I know Mike Campbell left a comment on there too. I haven't looked at it in a little while, but
oh, cool.
All that stuff, type of stuff. I know I saw Joe Mitchell, or I think it's Joe Mitchell, left a review on our Facebook page saying that we provide great banter and breakdowns of the shows. So I saw it, Joe. Thank you for your comment and your support of ICOPOD. He said that he had to take a break from the podcast because he had a child. And, Joe, if you're listening, never put us on the back burner ever again.
Yeah, we'll let that slide once.
Yeah, one time. If you have another kid, you could probably like hold the child and like still listen to ICOPOD, so like don't ever
make the
abandon
kid
us.
listen to it.
There you go. We could have the first ICOPOD kid.
This is educational. There is value in this fucking show, and there's nothing profane about it. So make the kid listen.
Fucking not.
Let the boy watch.
We are TV PG.
Yeah, and by PG we mean like X.
Right.
So
we're not very even politically correct. I mean, I once joked about a kid getting hit by a truck, diesel filling up HBK's gas tank. Just various things like that. Not a big deal.
Yeah.
Simple, effective things.
And we may or may not have mocked Vader like the week before he died.
Well, yeah, that was just poor timing.
So
that definitely happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we're not for everybody.
We're letting bygones be bygones here on ICOPOD.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
We're improving ourselves every day.
Exactly.
Yeah, we're fine. Don't worry about it. All right, Austin, you got anything else here for episode 92?
No, let's get out of here before we get ourselves in even more trouble.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with you. All right, for Austin Skinner, I'm Bob Conley Jr., and this has been ICOPOD.
We love you, and don't forget, you gotta hear it.